Hey guys, Grandy Tamias here, and yesterday, as of when I'm recording this, I saw the new Pixar film, Hoppers. To be honest, I haven't kept up with Pixar as much over the past decade or so, and I've only seen a few of their films in that time. I just haven't been interested in the studio's output because I think Pixar's reputation as making masterpiece films, except when they don't, is overrated. Not to mention they're a shill for Disney. Their films are typically formulaic and don't take a lot of risks like gross-out humor a la Shrek, or trying to put a new spin on a movie concept that's already been done before, to the point of being unapologetic about it, a la most other DreamWorks films like Megamind making parody out of a lot of the elements from the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. The latter approach is what Hoppers takes, with them literally making fun of the notion that the concept is similar to James Cameron's Avatar. Regardless of the studio, I judge whether or not to see a movie based on whether I think the concept is interesting. And because of Pixar's cheap over-reliance on a formula, I think some of their movie concepts aren't as fleshed out as they would have if they were handled by a different studio like DreamWorks. Sure, you're less likely to get an above 90% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Not that that matters anyway, f*** Rotten Tomatoes. But you can at least count on DreamWorks to let loose and have fun with the concept in a way that you typically don't see with Pixar. Add on to the fact that, like with the live-action Lilo and Stitch, I'm very picky when it comes to Disney things that aren't Fox or theatrical MCU outings. Were it not for the fact that nothing else coming out in March interested me enough to go to a movie theater, I would have passed on Hoppers, and boy howdy I'm glad I didn't. Hoppers is a really fun movie that speaks to me, as, like Mabel, I want to make the world a better place for wild animals. I could totally relate to her sympathy for the animals of the glade, and her outside-the-box way of solving problems. The supporting characters are entertaining as well, especially with how they help Mabel adjust to life as a beaver. The visuals are amazing, as is to be expected from Pixar. They've had over 30 years to perfect 3D animation, as they were the first to make a full feature film out of it. But the quality of the lighting, textures, and other facets of rendering detail are nothing without a good design aesthetic. This film, like Ruby Gillman, designs human and non-human characters in a way never seen in the studio's history before. And I love it. And technically, the animal characters have two designs, since they appear differently whether the movie is showing them from the perspective of a human or another animal. It's really cool, and I like the way the movie sets that rule and makes it easy for the audience to understand. The plot is very simple for an environmental message movie, in that the goal is to stop a construction project. But the way the movie introduces a second conflict that builds on top of it is honestly really well done, and something that felt both natural and fresh. There are some tropes in this film that are obvious, both by Pixar standards and films of this kind in general. But like with Ruby Gillman, I didn't mind their use, and most of them enhanced the story in my opinion. There is a use of the character is told they're trusted and accepted for who they are, only to be rejected when their lie is discovered trope, but thankfully the movie doesn't dwell on it, and given the divide between humans and animals, it's totally understandable why the rejecter in this case feels that way. On that note, I feel like this movie's emotional moments are much better earned than other Pixar movies. There's one in particular that came as a shock and made me think, wow, this movie really had the guts to do that. And I use the word guts intentionally in that idiom. But as Pixar tends to do, the film does attempt to overwork your tear ducts. Does it actually do it? Well, this is another subjective thing, and far be it from me to tell you what you should or shouldn't cry at. This film almost got me to cry, but it's not about whether it did. I just have a really high bar, and Hoppers did well enough that the weight of the events makes you feel it, but it's not forced in a way that undercuts the fun identity of this film. Hoppers is very much like The Wild Robot in that regard, which I'm just now realizing is also a movie about a robot and a community of wild animals. So yeah, you might cry during this film, but me, I'm a little weird about what gets me emotional in a movie theater. As for this film's villains, one of them is played by Jon Hamm, and his character reminded me of Sentinel Prime, the character he played in Transformers 1, in that he was kind of a crooked political figure. I know that was only a small part of Sentinel's character in that movie, but in this one, I think some of his lines and remarks made by other characters about him was meant to reflect some real-world politicians that I shall not name. The other villain I don't want to give away too much about, but I will say that the way that the movie did away with him was unceremonious and might just be my biggest flaw of the film. That, and he's not really well developed as a character in terms of his motivation, but it's not like I demand such things as long as their actions on screen are a spectacle or they're imposing enough to take seriously. neither was the case for him. As far as franchise potential, this film gives closure to a lot of its fundamental aspects, so I don't see how they could do a sequel, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would like to see Mabel hop into that beaver robot again. Also, Pixar, if you do make a Hoppers sequel, please do not wait 10 to 15 years to make it. I know audiences complain about sequel fatigue, but you have the opposite problem. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give Hoppers a 9. While I wouldn't say it's as obsession-worthy as Ruby Gillman, I do think that the world and characters are so endearing that I will be buying a physical copy of this film when it comes out. Feel free to let me know in the comments, what did you think of Pixar's Hoppers? If you'd like to keep up with me outside of my videos, you can join my Discord server or follow me on Twitter. Links to both will be in the description. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed, have a nice day, and thank you for your time.